Good evening, Penguins fans. Happy Thursday. Hunter Hodes here, back with another episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast, fresh off the Penguins 6-1 drubbing of the Los Angeles Kings. For today's episode, we're going to focus on the first segment, the goaltending for this matchup and how big of a deal it was, especially from the Kings side, because the Penguins had brilliant goaltending. And the second segment, we're going to get into the players that I thought bounced back with this game, especially Jeff Petry and Kris Letang, a couple others. And then for the final segment, we're going to get into some other thoughts and observations from this contest. And again, just look at how good this team has been to start the season. So that's all coming up right after this drop.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. You can also follow the show's Twitter at LA_Penguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. So as I said in the intro, the Penguins absolutely blitzed the Los Angeles Kings, a 6-1 final. The Penguins are now 3-0-1 to start the season, 7 out of 8 points. Probably should have all 8 if they would have been able to defend that lead against Montreal, but you will still take 7 out of 8 points every single time. And a big reason why they have 7 out of 8 points to start the season is the play of the goaltending. And that showed again tonight with another spectacular performance from Tristan Jarry. I said coming into this season, one of my big bold predictions was that he's going to be a Vezina Trophy finalist. He is definitely playing at that level right now. Coming into this game in a couple starts, had a .938 save percentage, goals against average below 2. It's going to stay that way after this performance, that's for sure. Had almost a 40 save game tonight. Save percentage is probably going to go up to about 940, 941, something like that. And, also tonight at 5v5, had all 25 saves at even strength. His expected goals against was 2.1. That is how, so he was expected to give up 2 goals. He was that freaking good, especially in the first period. Saved 7 high danger shot against. So those are shots about 5 to 10 feet out. Medium danger, about 15, 20 feet out. That's 9 saves that he had. And then low danger, that's about, 30 feet out. Even more than that, 7 out of 7. He was awesome. If you go to all situations here, expected goals against 3.9. Yeah, bro, that is just insane, the level that he played at tonight. And other stats here, 11 high danger saves at all situations, 13 medium, and then 13 low danger. He's been a wall to start this season for the Penguins, and I'm really hoping that some people start joining me on the bandwagon that he's going to be a Vezina Trophy finalist, because if he does keep this up, I think it's only a matter of time before he does become a finalist at the end of the season. In the first period, he was the reason the Penguins were getting a chance to, break the ice and go up 1-0 and then 2-0 and then 3-0 going in to the first intermission. He was making timely save after timely save after timely save. And some of those chances were, how do I want to say it? A couple of them were high danger. The Kings only had 2 high danger chances in the first period, but a lot of them were still decent chances, 15 to 20 feet out, and Jarry was slamming the door. The Penguins really weren't connecting on a lot of passes out of their defensive zone. I thought they were kind of being suffocated in the neutral zone. They weren't getting a lot of offensive zone time, which obviously led to the Kings outskating them pretty badly in the first period. But Jarry was able to shut the door, which then led to Jan Rutta's goal, and then Jake Guentzel scored. And then, again, the floodgates truly opened, and this game was over by the first intermission. He was the main difference to get this game going in the right direction. I have to shout him out first to begin this episode. On the other side, the Kings goaltending, not good at all. Cal Peterson, I was definitely a little bit surprised that he was starting this game. Excuse me. I know Jonathan Quick came into this game less than a .900 save percentage. I think his goals against average was over 3. But still, I figured they would kind of go back to him here. Pederson just started the other night. 3 games in 4 nights, go back to the number 1 that you had last year. But nope, they went to Pederson, and I definitely think they maybe regretted it just because he was pulled directly after the first period. The Jan Ruta goal, kind of weak, I would say. Just a goal that there's some traffic in front, but that's from like 55, 60 feet out. You got to be able to save that. Guentzel goal, I'm not really going to blame him there. Then the third goal, though, one that I think he could have saved. So I'm not really surprised that he was pulled directly after that third goal going into the second period. They tried to get a spark with Quick coming in. It didn't work. He gave up 3 goals himself. But I think that's the goaltending is the main reason why the Penguins won this game. Tristan Jarry played like an all-star at one end. Cal Peterson played like a replacement level goaltender here. If I can go down to the Kings on ice here, if I can, well, if it will, I guess it's not going to show the goaltending stats for some reason, even though it showed for the actually no, it's the individual one. Excuse me. If you go down here for Cal Peterson, 3 high danger shots against, 1 save, 2 high danger goals against. So they got to the front of the net pretty well, but a 625 save percentage at even strength, that ain't gonna cut it. I mean, when your goals against average is basically 10 and you're giving up 3 goals, that's bad goaltending. And the Kings were as advertised in the first period. They focus on a lot of shots from the medium danger ranges and the low danger ranges, and they have quantity over quality, but their goaltending was not able to be good enough tonight. And you saw that. That's for sure. So I think that is the main reason why the Penguins were able to be victorious in this game. I even tweeted at the time of the first period, I have no idea how the Penguins are up right now, just because they were getting brutally outplayed. But the funny thing is, I did check Natural Stat Trick, and the heat map, it really showed, the Kings, again, a lot of their chances were to the outside. The Penguins are doing a really nice job taking the slot away. And at the first intermission, the Kings only had 2 high danger chances. So I think that's a big reason right there. And the Penguins were also controlling 56% of the expected goals. So I believe that wraps up this first segment for today's recap episode. Again, shout out Tristan Jarry. Great start to the season. I'm not sure if he'll get the game on Saturday. Maybe they may give him a rest, but he was making great save after a great save tonight. And, I can't be more thrilled with his play right now. He continues this up, he's going to make a lot of money, whether it's by the Penguins or it's someone else. I will gladly say that. But coming up in the next segment, we're going to get into some players who I thought had some really nice bounce back games tonight, including Jeff Petry and a couple others that I do want to focus on. But before I get to that, BetOnline is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. You can find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. That is BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, I'm back here in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at @L_Penguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. So getting into some more reactions from this amazing Penguins win for you Yinzers tonight. Players who bounce back. That's the big topic for the second segment of the show. Let's start with Kris Letang. I trashed him on my Tuesday episode. He had a really bad game. I said this is kind of one of those 5 to 6 to 7 games, maybe 8 to 9, that he's just really bad during a season. That's just who he is. He's going to play 65 to 7, at least 65, at least probably 70 really good games. The rest are probably going to be crap. That was one of them. You move on. He played a much more disciplined game tonight. Wasn't turning the puck over too much. Looked great in the offensive zone. Had a couple of assists. Was moving the puck well, was defending well in his own zone. Much better performance from him. And if I can go to NST here and look at the overall numbers for Letang, if I scroll down and find on the defense, I don't know where only 45% of the shot attempts at 5v5. So, I mean, that's kind of but, scoring chances wise was fine. he's going up against the Kopitar line, so I'm not really too worried about that, but it was a much better performance, I thought, from him eye test wise. Jeff Petry had a miserable game going up against the Canadians on Monday. Much better game tonight against the Kings. Had 3 points, got his first goal of the season. And fun fact for you all, this is going to be sad, but also funny. With Jeff Petry's goal tonight, he has tied John Marino's goal output from last season in 4 games. 1 goal in 4 games for Petry, 1 goal in 82 games last year for John Marino. I know Marino might be a little bit better defensively than Petry, but the offensive upgrade that Petry provides, it's not even close. So I thought he looked great tonight. I figured he was going to bounce back after that poor showing. Took some penalties, was responsible for the penalty that lost the game in overtime when Kirby Dach scored at the side of the net. It's great to see him playing with Evgeny Malkin most of his minutes. Gino badly needed an offensive defenseman like him. I'm really glad that Ron Hextall was able to target that over the offseason. I mean, tonight, 58% of the scoring chances for the Penguins when Petry's on the ice, 50% of the shot attempts. High danger-wise, if I can find that here, about 3 to 5. So not that good, but scoring chances-wise, definitely much better compared to last game. And then the top line, also much better performance. I'll shout out all 3 of those guys. Sidney Crosby, he had some very vintage Sidney Crosby-like shifts tonight. He even had one late in the 3rd period that I think would have brought down PPG Paints Arena. He came into the offensive zone right side of the ice, right? Comes in, kind of does a little bit of a dangle on a Kings defender, gets around him, and pushes the puck just wide of Jonathan Quick. If he scores there, that's probably one of the better Sidney Crosby goals that we've seen for as long as we've been watching him. But I thought he had an extra oomph to himself tonight. Has continued to be top 5 in points. I believe he has now 7 points in 4 games. He is on a mission to start this season. That's for sure. He was very quiet against Montreal. One of their young defensemen, Gouli, basically allowed like 1 shot against when he was playing against him. I think he played like 12 to 13 minutes, even strength against him. Very uncharacteristic for him to be shut down like that, especially by a rookie defenseman. He definitely did not take kind of that, and he had a much better game tonight. Also, we'll say that to Jake Guentzel, though he also was just taking a beating. One's from Brendan Lemieux with a dirty elbow to the face, takes a puck to the ear. Hopefully he is okay. I tweeted this at the time, just please get off the ice with like 11 to 12 minutes remaining. I do not want to see him on the ice remainder in that game. Thankfully, the Penguins listened. I'm sure they're going to have an update pretty soon if they have not had one already. And yes, actually, they just tweeted this out, the Penguins account, that is. Jake is being evaluated right now. Mike Sullivan said he doesn't have any specifics. As far as the hit, he said he thinks it was late and unnecessary. That was the Brendan Lemieux hit. So hopefully Jake is okay. He was able to skate off on his own power. They cannot have an injury to him at this point, especially with how he played tonight. Got his 3rd goal of the season. Watch what he does on that goal, by the way. Letang puts it to the front of the net. Jake kicks it to himself off his skate to his stick, boom, in the back of the net. It's little things like that that make Jake the goal scorer that he is. Because, a lot of players, they'll kind of just try to maybe kick it into the back of the net. They won't try to think about kicking it to their stick. But, Jake, again, you give him the smallest amount of time, he's going to make you pay 10 times. And that's what he did on that goal. And also Rickard Rakell, he gets another goal this season. He had a really good job to cut to the front of the net and clean up the garbage. At least I believe that's his 2nd goal of the season. I'm making sure that I remember that he scored against Tampa Bay when I was in the building. I'm just trying to make sure here. Yes, that was his 2nd goal. Whew, thought I had a brain fart there for a second. But getting back to the actual goal, sorry about that. Petry bombs it from the point. Pederson doesn't have it, goes off the post, just kind of sits there, and Rakell cuts to the front of the net directly from the right and is able to get that angle with the puck, put in the back of the net. that's a goal scorer's goal, clean up the garbage. Really nice job from him on that. I thought the entire fourth line also bounced back tonight. Shout out to Ryan Poehling. I thought this was easily his best game in a Penguin uniform. He had an absolute blast for a shorthanded goal. Gets his first of the year. He definitely looks like the kind of player that would thrive in Mike Sullivan's system. A very, good skater, someone who has a wicked release, can play decent defensively. You all know my thoughts on who I would have on the fourth line when Teddy Blueger's back. I think at least tonight he solidified that 12th forward spot. He was very good, and I look forward to seeing him potentially play like that a lot more in the future. So yeah, I got the top line, I think I got most of the players that had bad games from last time. Brian Dumoulin, I will say shout out to him. I thought he was much better tonight as well. Didn't really have any glaring mistakes or anything like that. I was on the ice for 42% of the shot attempts, 31% of the scoring chances. The numbers aren't going to be that good just because he's going up against top competition, but he was fine. Last but not least, though, one player that I do want to shout out that's had a great start to the season is Marcus Pederson. Watch the decision-making that he has going right now. When he was on ice, the Penguins had 52% of the shot attempts, about 87% of the expected goals tonight, 70% of the scoring chances. He is on a mission right now. Obviously, those trade rumors, I think, really screwed him up. I wouldn't say screwed him up over the offseason, but they definitely affected him just because he wanted to stay here. And I think he's definitely, if he wasn't cementing his roster spot in the first game of the season, he's definitely doing it right now. Watch his decision-making in the defensive zone. His first pass looks crisp. He's defending that net front area a lot better than he used to be. He's also doing well in the offensive zone. He's looking great next to Petry. I think that has the chance to be one of the best second pairings in the league with how it's looking right now. So those are the players I really wanted to shout out for this segment, to say the least. Evgeny Malkin looked great again. Brian Rust also looked fine. Jeff Carter got another goal, had a much better performance tonight as well. I'll add him. I thought Carter, for as bad as he was defensively in the game against Montreal, thought tonight bounced back in a big way, was able to get a goal, his second of the season. And hopefully this is the version of Carter that we keep seeing for the rest of the year. Now, coming up in the final segment, we're going to get into a listener takeaway that I believe Alan T. Yoder just sent me. And finally, we're going to touch on a big milestone that Mike Sullivan just hit tonight. So stick around for that coming up in this final segment. All right, I'm back here on this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at LO_Penguins. And of course, thank you so much for making this your first listen of the day. So the big one, obviously, so tonight, he's been trying to get this for, I guess the last few days. But congratulations to Mike Sullivan on his 300th win as Penguins head coach. No other Penguin coach has ever gone there before. The fact that he's been here this long, even though they've had playoff failures, goes to show how much the organization values him. Not just as a coach, not as a teacher, but as a person, as an ambassador to this franchise. He is the perfect coach for this team. I do not want anyone else coaching this team for this foreseeable future. Right now, I think it's hard to argue that he isn't the best coach in this franchise history. I've been saying for a while that I think it's between him and Badger Bob. I think right now with the work that he's been doing, last year with the COVID and the injuries, the year before that, they won the division with the injuries. I know they've had the lack of playoff success a little bit lately, but I think right now he is the best coach in this team's history. And I think a lot of people need to realize just how lucky you are to have him as Penguins head coach. They're playing a very disciplined style of hockey right now. They're forechecking hard outside that game against Montreal. They're defending well. They're scoring in bunches. They've scored 18 goals in their first 3 home games of the season. I mean, that's just unheard of. Basically, this is Mike Sullivan, Penguins hockey, and you are seeing it firsthand. So, Mike, congratulations to you. You are the perfect coach for this team, and hopefully the Penguins are going to be able to get some playoff success for you at least this year. Now, getting to a listener takeaway from Alan T. Yoder here. I appreciate you sending me this, Alan. He goes, they looked pretty sloppy for some parts, but still good. Raquel's goal was definitely one of the 2 best I've seen in person. Petry definitely made up for Monday. And yes, Alan, the Petry tonight, as I talked about in the last segment, was very good, making smart decisions with the puck. He has a bomb of a shot from the point. Defensively, he cleaned up a lot of his issues, did not really take any penalties. His pairing with Pederson looked much better. It was a cleaner performance from him. And again, you can just see the upgrade that he brings offensively to this team on a nightly basis. It's not even close. And yeah, as you said, the Raquel goal, awesome one too. The way he was able to cut in behind Cal Peterson there and get that goal was awesome. Just the angle that he had to reach back and put the puck in the back of the net. That's awesome stuff. And again, yeah, you were right, Alan. They definitely looked a bit sloppy, but they were able to clean it up. And for the game, just looking at the overall game stats now that you were on the subject, Alan, Penguins only had 45% of the shot attempts, 45% of the scoring chances, 43% of the high danger chances, but, they had all 4 goals at even strength. They were close to 50-50 in expected goals. In the third period, the Penguins actually dominated the Kings in a lot of those categories. 79% of the expected goals, 81% of the scoring chances, and 61% of the shot attempts. And they also had 51% of the shot attempts in the second period. So again, after a little bit of a rough first period, even though the Kings only had 2 high danger chances, they were able to clean things up and deliver a dominant win. And I said coming into this game, just to wrap this episode up for you all, this was a big test for the Penguins just because the Kings, I think they're easily one of the 4 best teams in the West coming into this season, outside of Colorado, Calgary, maybe Edmonton. I guess I would have the Kings right there. They got a lot of skill in their top 6, very deep team, good defensively. Usually their goaltending is a lot better than this. You saw them play at a high level in the first period. They just weren't able to sustain that once the Penguins started to get some goals, just because the Kings goaltending had an off night tonight. But I think that was a statement win for this team, 3-0-1 to start the season. And now they embark on a massive road trip. They go on the road tomorrow. They'll play Columbus on Saturday. I'll have a full game preview for you all for tomorrow's episode, and I'll look ahead as well with some other topics. But it's hard not to be excited about this team right now with how they're playing. They look like a sure playoff team. They look like a fringe Stanley Cup contender. And if Tristan can continue to deliver this kind of goaltending, I think this team can be a really tough out in a 7-game series. I've said it all the time. It really just comes down to the health and the goaltending for this team. Knock on wood, the team is healthy right now. Also, knock on wood, the goaltending is also playing at a very, very high level. If both of those things can continue for this entire season, this potentially could be a very special season for the Penguins. And also, shout out to Jan Rutta, got his first goal as a Penguin tonight outside of Paling and Petry. I thought Rutta had a really nice game. He's been a great fit these first 4 games. Looks like a natural in the third pairing. If he was able to play well with Victor Hedman on the top pairing, these should be baby-like minutes for him. I mean, he should be able to crush these, and he's been doing that, to say the least. So I got no negatives tonight for you all. I got nothing bad to say about the team. And 3-0-1, 7 out of 8 points. It's a great time to be a Penguins fan right now, and it's a great time to keep following the show. I'll have content for you all every single weekday throughout the regular season. Keep it right here on Locked On Penguins. I really appreciate all of you listening. I'll be back with another episode on Friday to preview the game on Saturday, and then we'll also look ahead to the Western Canada trip, and I'll preview those games during the episode as well, because the next episode I will bring for you all will be on Monday, probably be a full game recap. So again, thank you all so much for listening, and I'll talk with you all on Friday.